Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thank you for spending some time with me today because in this video, we're talking all about some of the design choices, decisions you could make that forever and always will be timeless. They will never become dated because they always come back around. Now, the first thing that's always going to be timeless, okay, you can never go wrong with, ever, no matter your style, no matter the age of your home. It is sort of like depending on the architecture, but we'll get into that, is crown molding. I have never been mad at crown molding. Never. No matter the style. If people want really modern design in their house, crown molding makes it chic. It makes it look like it's kind of curated and interesting. Love. Slay. The crown molding, gorgeous. It's giving Paris apartment. Okay, when we have all of this trim detail added in, gorgeous. But crown molding doesn't necessarily work in every architectural style. I will say the number one style it does not work in is if the architecture of your home is like super contemporary and very modern. It's probably not going to be the best thing for mid-century modern. Those ones there, pull back from it, okay? Crown molding is the perfect thing to add in to that sort of like standard, more builder grade type of home. If it has a handful, a slight reference or nod to a traditional detail, boom, crown molding is for you. It can be stunning. Obviously, it's hard to put like on a vaulted ceiling. So maybe you're not gonna do it there. But there's limitations to it, of course. It can be great though, because it always comes back around in style. Okay, you're never gonna go wrong having gorgeous crown molding. And I also love that we can use crown molding to play around with color, to add extra detail into the space, to finish out a space. Like if you want wallpaper on the walls, crown molding, perfect, because we can take a color from the wallpaper, paint the trim, paint the baseboard, paint the crown molding, like stunning. But we can also color drench crown molding and have something that's really decadent and layered and beautiful, soft details. Obsessed, obsessed. Crown molding, there's always a great way to work with it, and I love when I see it. I'm not saying your space isn't finished, it's not gorgeous, or it can't be without crown molding, but it's not gonna hurt you. Another detail that will always come back around, okay, you're not gonna make a mistake or mess up using it, and I recommend it all the time, is brushed nickel hardware. Love. Love, 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 love brushed nickel hardware. Now, the reason I think it's always timeless and it always comes back around is because brushed nickel is actually a warm toned metal. Chrome, you know, that is a little bit more trend driven. It is very cool toned. Okay, like even brass. Brass has been a huge trend. That's very warm toned. I do love brass. I love golden hardware, but like, you know, it is a trend. Like you have to acknowledge what it is. Oil red bronze, big trend right now. Wrought iron is kind of coming back around too. Love all of this. Black hardware, I'm like 50-50 on. Okay, you gotta be careful with that. But those are all trend driven hardwares. Brushed nickel will always be timeless. It will always come back around. It will always be in. And also it's super easy to match brushed nickel across different manufacturers. Like gold, brass, no. Like most of the time it's not the same. And we kind of are like gaslighting ourselves into it. Beside the point. When I look at a home, I want there to be consistency in the hardware used throughout it. So if we're gonna use two different types of hardware, if we're mixing it on doors and cabinetry and in kitchens and stuff like that, I think that's great, but we need to have consistency across all of it in the house. Brushed nickel is a really good one to add into the mix. You can put brushed nickel and brass, brushed nickel and black. You can put, but basically you can do brushed nickel in anything outside of chrome. Brushed nickel and chrome is just weird. Like why is one shiny and one is matte? Doesn't make any sense, avoid that. But brushed nickel is very, very consistently good. You can mix it in with cooler tone spaces. Like if you have a full Carrara marble bathroom, you can use brushed nickel in there to serve as a little bit of a warm contrast in the space. Or if you have a very warm tone space, brushed nickel blends right in and it can be stunning. It doesn't matter what color it is, what materials, if you're using granite, marble, you want a tile countertop, brushed nickel is gonna look great on it. The cabinetry color can be wood or painted, any color, brushed nickel is going to look great on it. It is a completely non-offensive hardware color. I've never had anybody say to me, I don't like brushed nickel. They're like, yeah, I was thinking about that, but I didn't know if I should go bolder than that. Brushed nickel is very neutral. It's very classic, very timeless. It always comes back around because it is super, super timeless to have in your space. Don't skimp on brushed nickel. And there's a lot of spot-free brushed nickel that's coming out right now. 10 out of 10. Like if I don't have to clean a water spot off of the hardware, oh, love that for me. Something else I love for me is meeting with all of you when we do our virtual consultations. Yes, I offer virtual consultations to everyone out there. If you have any difficult design questions you need answered, if you're just struggling and you don't know what to do, or you're just scared to make a decision because you don't want to mess it up, I've got you covered. You could always book a one-on-one virtual consultation with me. We'll meet on your phone. You'll show me around. It's like a FaceTime call. You'll show me all of the things going on and I will answer the questions for you. You can book that using the link in the description box down below, or you can go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic and I'll see you over there. One of the top questions I get asked, okay, one of the top ones, because it's a big commitment and expensive to change, is when people are refinishing their floors. Wood floors installed or refinished, okay, they're finished in place. They say, Garrett, what stain color should I use? I don't know what to go with. What is it gonna be? What should I do? My favorite color of stain, that's the dramatic emphasis so you know I'm serious, okay? My favorite color of stain for a wood floor, Provincial. I love Provincial because for me, it's very neutral. It's the perfect option. It blends in seamlessly and goes with everything. And depending on what you put with it will draw the tones out of it. Provincial is not yellow. It is not orange. It is not gray. It can read as being some of those things depending on the woods you add into it. So with Provincial, if you put white oak with it, it's going to read as very neutral. But if you put mahogany or walnut with it, it's going to pull out more of the warmth and the red in it. If you want to put it with, your pine furniture, boom, honey, slay. Okay, it will look a little bit more yellow. It's a very chameleon type of color where you can pull tones out of it. Super neutral. Now, Provincial is a color by a big stain company. Okay, go online, look it up, and you can kind of decide for yourself. The interesting thing about Provincial also is that it is super consistent throughout historic design. Okay, it's always been used, this sort of neutralized brown wood tone in a space. Love that. But it has a slight tone of warmth to it. I like a little bit of warmth in my space. I don't want everything to be yellow. I want a little bit of warmth. So it just feels welcoming and cozy, right? I'm gonna do warmth with light. We'll talk about that. Take a sample of it, put it on the floor along with the other sample so you can really see it in the space and decide for yourself, because your lighting and the surroundings of the space, the wall color will affect how the flooring stain looks. But Provincial's usually a really good starting point for you to build off of. Now, I do believe I just made a reference to light color and what I like, a little bit of a warm tone lighting. And that's another thing you can never go wrong with, a timeless detail to bring into a space. It will always come back around, okay? Because you're never gonna go wrong with a warm tone light. I harp on lighting, okay? Because lighting makes the difference. It makes the difference. You can have the most beautiful space, but if you have hospital lights, honey, it looks like a hospital, okay? It's not doing you any favors. All right, it looks wild and crazy. So, no. We're not doing cool tone lighting. I don't like that. I don't like it. Nobody else does. Maybe you do, but I don't. No, it's not helping you. It's not doing what you think it is. Now, before everybody in the comment section goes off, yeah, I'm talking to you. Let me make sure I say that in a kitchen or a bathroom, you can use a brighter light. I would not go for the coolest of lights. I would just never do that because, I would never do it. Okay, I'm not looking to punish myself in that way. However, brighter lighting in those spaces enhances the usability and the functionality of them. So in a living room, I'll go for 2700. I want the warmest lighting. Okay, I want it to be warm and decadent. But in a bathroom or a kitchen, I might look at 3000, 3500, 4000 would be pushing it for me. And these are temperature grades of lighting, so be sure you're just looking at the packaging. The light bulbs come in, it'll tell you. Now, in a hospital, they use really bright, cool tone lighting because some people have medical conditions where they just need that, all right? So like if you have that, go for it, okay? That's always the exception, right? But I personally am not gonna suggest for most homes, 99% of homes are not, I'm never gonna tell you to use a cool tone light, okay? It's not for me. No, I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's terrible, it's horrible. Like if you meet with me in person, I'm very nice, I'm not judgmental, like some people. It brings us that warmth and character into a space without having to commit to, going over the top with all of the colors we're using and everything. You can immediately warm up a space with warm tone lighting, always timeless, always classic. It will always benefit the space, no matter your style, no matter the colors you're using, none of it. I love warm tone lighting. I love warm tone lighting. Now, something else I love for you is becoming a part of our LeChic family, hitting that subscribe button and joining us. We give great interior design content all of the time. And by we, I don't mean me and my split personality, but I mean like we as the community. Okay, the LeChic family. So become a part of the LeChic family by hitting the subscribe button, pull out your smartphone, scan this QR code. It will take you directly to my channel page where you can subscribe and become a part of our family. Much easier. You can also give this video a like, which everybody that's watching should be doing. And I would greatly appreciate if everyone gave this video some hype to get it shared across the platform so everyone else knows what's gonna be timeless, elegant, and sophisticated in their homes. When it comes to decorating, designing, renovating, painting your home, painting specifically, it's a big commitment, and that is not easy and it's not inexpensive, right? Like if you want it to be cheap, you're doing it yourself, and that's not easy to get right. And if you want it done, really well, you're gonna pay for it, right? Painting is a big commitment. So a lot of times people come to me and they don't know what colors to choose. They are so caught up in like, what is it gonna be? I don't wanna hate this when it's on the wall. Like what can I do? That's a really difficult question to answer, but what I can tell you is what always comes back into style, what always comes around, and is always going to be timeless is mixing 2 shades of white together. That's not to say the only way to have a timeless home is to mix 2 shades of white together, paint everything white, but you can always do that. That's why builders do it in homes, right? That's why it's always neutral, why you always see like a staged home or people renovate their house for sale, they paint everything white. It's super neutral, super classic, always timeless. Now, I believe in mixing 2 shades of white because I love to see the trim in a space, right? Give me a baseboard, give me a gorgeous door frame, give me, the crown molding at the ceiling, and I'll do those in a brighter white, not a cool toned white, but a brighter white with a warm base, and I'll paint the ceiling that color too. Okay, I don't believe in ceiling paint. Don't get me started on that one. And then the walls themselves, I'll do in a slightly warmer white tone that has a little bit of contrast with the trim. That way I can see it. It stands out and it feels layered in the background when I add the furnishings in, but it's a really solid foundation to build off of. Now, I always recommend when you're painting your walls, you put samples up on the wall. You get a couple of them, put them on the wall, look at them different areas, different times of day, different lighting, so you really understand what you're getting yourself into before you make that decision. I also recommend getting fabric samples so we can kind of see everything together. It is much easier to make an informed decision and be happy with what you end up with rather than just trying to piece it all together. Something else that is always coming back into trend, always comes back around, you can never go wrong with, is a house with good sight lines. The actual floor plans of homes and what we like changes depending on the style of the house, the style you're after, the age of the house, when it was built, all of these things. But what will always remain true is if your house has good sight lines, it will typically have good flow. You will typically be able to decorate it much easier, and it makes it a whole lot more timeless when you just have those good sight lines and usable also. What do I mean by that? In an open concept home, you don't really have to worry about sightlines because there are no walls to stop your sightlines from happening. Like if I'm standing here, I can see the living room, the dining room, the kitchen. I can see outside to the backyard. I could probably see the front door unless my back is to it, but that is what it is, right? So that's kind of the neutral. Like it's always kind of timeless in a certain way, depending on the decorating and the furnishings, which admittedly can be hard. I'm very good at it though, so book a consultation with me. Love that for you, love that for me. But when it comes to modified or closed concept, that's where you run into some issues. And that's why we kind of got away from like closed concept into open concept, because we just want to be able to see. We want everything to be open. A lot of people have conspiracy theories about it. And I do like to hear them, but that's also not what we're talking about today. But as long as there are really good sight lines, everything will work out. Now, what do I mean by that? I want to be able to see through spaces from one space into another. And that doesn't mean there can't be, some sort of division. When it comes to modified open concept, I would say that's where spaces are clearly defined. They may be offshoots of one another and there's not a lot of division in walls and trim and everything, but they are clearly defined. Whereas closed concept, we would typically have maybe a small archway or a doorway into another space. Maybe we have doors or something like that. But as long as we keep clear sight lines into spaces, we can really, really benefit the space and it will always feel timeless. Closed concept and modified open concept tend to have more walls, more hanging space, more space for furniture than an open concept does, but you do lose a little bit of those sight lines. So you have to decide what's more important to you. Is the space that is a little bit more classic, or something that really is just, you know, like a party space where it's big open rooms? Is that more your style? Neither one of them is bad. Neither one of them is right or wrong. It's up to you to decide. But what I will say is that with a closed concept, modified open concept space where you have defined entry points, if you have good sight lines, it creates a vista. A vista is basically looking through something small out to something big. Love that, gorgeous. So using that as a principle in your home could be stunning and always timeless. It's about having really good flow, really good movement through the space, really good sight lines that are going to determine whether your floor plan feels timeless or not necessarily whether it's open, modified, or closed concept. Now, while we're talking about things that are timeless and always come back around, let's avoid some of the things that are actually going to make your home look cheap because nobody wants it, and I'm sick of seeing it. Be sure you check out that video, boom, right over here, and I will see you over there.